this is Niswander, and welcome to the Nowman Show. Since 2000, Jimi Yamagishi has been the director of SongNet, a songwriters network for showcasing music and workshops where aspiring songwriters can mingle with industry professionals. He's also one of the dudes at Aspiring Songwriter. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimi Yamagishi.
Well, thank you very much, Dan. Appreciate that. I was trying to think of what kind of songs to play, and I think I'm going to do three that are kind of a little bit different because then that way kind of gives you an idea of what kind of things you can do as a songwriter. This one's usually something that I would do with a band, kind of, it's a little funky, but it worked on acoustic too. Slowly stepping sideways, silent so that you won't notice when I'm gone. Never needed nothing, now I know that something always has been wrong. It's not a love affair, but your suspicions back up on the shelf. Tonight I'm headed out to find a little time to find myself. On the side, on the side, on the side. On the side, on the side, on the side. Taking crazy concepts contrary to my life out to the curb. Laughing like a lunatic at every little thing that seems absurd. No, I'm not crazy, I'm just trying to break loose from the shell. Tonight I'm headed out to have a little time to find myself. On the side, on the side, on the side. On the side, on the side, on the side. Okay, thank you. This thing that we call the music industry is kind of a crazy place, you know? And a lot of us come with that dream, but that dream doesn't quite match the reality of it. But there is a place for everybody here. You say you're right, I say you're wrong. You say it's the music, I say it's the song. Your vision of reality, let's see, vision of reality is not the same as mine, brother. It's a paradigm. Perception of deception is a game I will not play. I won't pay you to listen to the things I have to say. Got some change in my pocket, but I've got no change in mine, brother. It's a paradigm. For every star that sparkles, for every grain of sand, there's a lyric out there waiting to be heard. All of God's creation has a purpose and a plan, and a voice to call their own in this old world. You like chocolate ice cream, I prefer vanilla bean. You command the center stage, I'll work behind the scenes. Will it ever come together if we can't see eye to eye, brother? It's a paradigm. So when we close our SongNet meetings, I sing this particular song because it's something that I think all of us need to remember, that wherever we're at, whatever we do, we're there for a reason, and we're there because we're supposed to be there. So this one's called Count Your Blessings, and hope that you can count your blessings too. Looking back to see the roads I've traveled, took some detours just to come this far. Sometimes took the road that looked so easy, always wound up being just as hard. Sometimes watched with envy as my friends found great success. Always got reminded it don't mean happiness. Count your blessings, and in time, count your blessings you'll find. Count your blessings and you'll see you are right where you should be. Count your blessings, anytime. Count your blessings you'll find. Count your blessings and you'll see you are right where you should be. Can't sleep 'cause I'm thinking about the future. Things that I can see but still can't hold. Dreams I locked away until tomorrow that somehow lost their sparkle long ago. Then I get reminded dreams are never lost. Sometimes they become a gift for blessing someone else. Count your blessings, and in time, count your blessings you'll find. Count your blessings and you'll see you are right where you should be. Count your blessings, and in time, count your blessings you'll find. Count your blessings and you'll see you are right where you should be. Thank you.
Wow, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for letting me be here.
Oh, that's my pleasure. I mean, you are an excellent performer, an excellent songwriter, great guitarist.
Oh, thank
you even have a great guitar, so I mean, you got it all here. You know, so and the diversity of the styles. Let's go back to the beginning though, and talk about first discovering music. What did you first play, and how old were you?
Yeah,
Right, you don't need mine.
I got a mic in front of me here. Well, actually, it was kind of an epiphany for me. What happened was I just graduated junior high. That's how long ago it was. And I was one of those kids that was trying to be cool, you know. So my whole thing was, well, my vocabulary was basically, you know. And then I became a Christian. And when I met Jesus Christ, I thought, wow, this is a great thing, you know, and I need to tell people about this. Trouble is that you got a limited vocabulary. So it becomes a problem, you know.
It does.
So I said, so all right, God, if you really want me to be your person, then you're going to give me a way to make this happen. In fact, because you came to me through music, I want music. In fact, when I come back from this, I was at a week-long Christian retreat. So when I come back from this retreat, there's going to be a guitar in my bed, amen. Now, of course, that's kind of a stupid thing to ask for. I thought, yeah, right, you know, miracles happen, but I didn't think about that. So I get home from this conference, and I'm dog tired, and I just wanted to go and plop down on my bed, but I couldn't because there was a guitar in the middle of my bed.
Oh, wow.
While I was away at this retreat conference thing, my kid brother just got in his head that he wanted to learn how to play guitar. So back in those days, blue chip stamps, my parents went out and bought him a guitar with blue chip stamps, and because I wasn't home, it was on my bed. Amen. So I thought, okay, this must be something.
It's a sign.
Yeah, it's totally a sign. So I picked it up and I tuned it and I learned how to play it that night, because I had learned a couple of chords while I was at that retreat. And then that Sunday, I went to church with the guitar, and the following week, I was leading worship. And the following month, I had my own band, and I was writing my own songs because I wasn't happy with the hymns and folk songs we were singing. And then all of a sudden, it just started getting crazy from there. The reason why I have a lot of stylistic diversity is because, this was back in the 70s.
Right.
The Jesus movement was happening. And I was involved with a lot of recording at the time, so a lot of my friends said, "Oh, Jimmy's a Christian guy, so yeah, let's give him all the Jesus stuff." And so I was helping to produce albums and everything else, even though I was just in the music thing for like 5 or 6 years at that point. But what was interesting is that anything with Jesus or God in it was Christian music. That meant it could be hip hop, rap,
Norman Greenbaum.
Yeah, Norman Greenbaum.
Spirit in the Sky.
Yeah. It could be hippie music, it could be folk music, it could be hard heavy metal rock and roll and everything else. It was all this diversity of all different kinds of music, but it was all Christian music because it had Jesus or God in it. And so I had to learn all that stuff and learn how that stuff went, and I began to have a great appreciation for that. And that's why, for me, I realized that, wow, it's a great thing to be able to have that kind of diversity, because then it becomes more accessible for everybody. People can hear what they want to hear, and like I was just playing for the sound check, that one song that I don't know if I should try even doing it, because if I do, it might get cut off, because I know the state of that guy is kind of weird, but everyone knows it, right?
Which one?
That I do it reggae and everybody digs it, right? I heard there was a secret chord that David played unto the Lord, but you don't really care for music, ooh yeah. And when it's like in a reggae thing, it brings a smile because it's reggae.
Right.
And then when people realize what song it is, they sing along because they know the song. It becomes very powerful that way, because all of a sudden it gets people not only entertained but also involved.
That's right.
And that's a big part of the power of music and why we do what we do.
Absolutely. Leonard Cohen, by the way, is who he was referring to.
Yeah, his estate's a little bit picky about that song. So.
Yeah. Oh, are they? Oh, wow. So we'll just
we may have to cut it, but we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. And that was an interesting time because, I remember as a kid, hearing My Sweet Lord on the radio, George Harrison of the Beatles. And, of course, I'm a preacher's kid. So I heard that and I thought, wow. You know what I mean? And so to this day, I still think about the vibes at that time that were so emanating around peace and love and God, if you wanted to, or whatever. It was that's how we discovered a lot of who we were and what our culture was about. And that's how we created culture, was through music, playing records and
the
instruments.
spirituality of that time, really transcended everything that was going on, and even transcended time, because it's still going on today.
In many ways, it is, and so it's up to us to continue that to happen, make it real. Yeah. Progressing as you got older, now I know. Did you always grow up in Southern California? Were you always here, or were you somewhere else?
Born and raised in East LA,
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Who would have guessed, right?
I know. It's a cross-cultural thing, from teriyakis to tacos. It's like,
Now, is your family also? When did your family migrate here?
My grandparents, my grandparents were the ones that came over here, and of course, because of that, my parents and my grandparents were incarcerated. During the World War II. So they went through that whole camp experience, and everything else is a very different thing. And because of all the things that are going on, especially with politics these days, people are becoming aware of that.
Yes.
More than ever, because there's a lot of political turmoil going on with immigration rights and things. And this is a nation of immigrants. Heck, even the Native Americans, they call themselves Native Americans. Well, it's true. They're here longer than anybody else. But
Indigenous people.
But the reality is they came from somewhere. Where did they come from?
That's right.
It's a nation of immigrants, and nobody's actually been here from the very beginning except God. So it's like, hey, when you look at it that way, it doesn't make sense to exclude people just because of one reason or another.
That's right. It's a broader view of what's really here. Like, I remember growing up as a kid in Middle America, and of course, Bible Belt, basically, and I loved going out in nature, and I remember seeing the streams and the creeks and the rivers and seeing how polluted they already were, and thinking to myself, I'd see a beautiful bird here and there, and I'd be thinking, I bet not that long ago, this place was just pristine and just absolutely beautiful. What happened? You know what I mean? And that's another thing, too, when people come here to want to take the land and take the resources, then where else does it go from there? And fast forward to 2018, and we understand why when you look back at history and you see. So I feel as a musician, don't you, as an artist, we have a responsibility in creating not only the art, but the art that actually has something to say.
Absolutely, because there's so much that's out there. I mean, I was just talking to one of the crew members here about falafel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she had never had falafel.
Oh, really?
And we're thinking, wow, that's something that in a lot of places in this world you would never find that, because
that's true.
The diversity, the cultural diversity of LA, you can have that. You can have falafel one day and have like a rack of ribs the next day. It's
and
all good.
Sushi the day after that.
Sushi the day after that. It's something that you can't do in a lot of places.
Yes.
In the Middle East, maybe all you have is falafel. But
that's right.
It's a whole different thing. But here in California, especially, there's so much of that going on where we can see, what's going on. We can share our diversity. We can share everything about different cultures because we've come from different places, because we are a nation of immigrants here. And I really am very excited about what's going on now with a lot of the political action and movements. Say, hey, we're all here together and we should make this go on. And like you're saying too, also it's important to understand that since we are here together and we're living here together, we better make sure we take care of the planet.
That's right. That's right. And there's, I'll get into it, of course, in another episode today, but there's a lot of interesting things going on. We have another window of time to actually come together and do some things. So stick around if you're on Facebook or on YouTube. So now fast forwarding now to you're an adult, and obviously it's the rock era. So you obviously were in rock bands. Tell us a little bit about that history.
Well,
what you did.
Yeah, with the rock bands is a little bit different because that was also I was still very much in the Jesus movement, and it was like rock and R&B mostly for me, because I hung out with more Japanese Americans and Black Americans. We wound up being more in R&B and hip hop and things like that. The early stages of hip hop. This is still R&B, Earth, Wind and Fire, and those guys.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so that's the kind of music that I was doing mostly. But I also had a guitar shop at that time.
Oh, where was it?
The very first shop was in Mar Vista. And what was interesting there is that I got a few celebrities coming through because they had boats in the marina and things.
Right, and that's on the west side for those of you who don't live in the LA area, over by Santa Monica. So
yeah, and so we had a few celebrities coming through, and it was kind of cool. But I really had an opportunity to meet a lot of people there. And then my partner wound up getting another thing going on, so I moved the shop to Monterey Park, and then from there moved it to Hollywood. And once I was in Hollywood, man, I had all the major celebrities. My shop was right across the street from Capitol Records.
Oh wow, on Vine Street.
Corner of Yucca and Vine. And the
really?
the very first client we had was Al McKay from Earth, Wind and Fire. It was really weird.
Wow.
We hadn't even put anything up except a sign and a note on the door. Here's a phone number in case there's an emergency. And this guy calls up and says, how did he get our number? And he says, yeah, I'm looking at your door, man. I saw the phone number. I thought I'd call. And so where are you? And he says, look up 5 stories. Look up, and there's a hand waving. I said, okay. And he came down. I met him. He's a very cool guy, left-handed guitar player.
Wow.
And it was interesting because it turned out that one of the companies I was working with was actually building a guitar for him already.
Oh, wow.
And so I went to Japan and found out about that. But the big thing that happened at that point was that because of all these celebrities that I was meeting, I was able to get into the green rooms just about everywhere. I was able
Fantastic.
to find out what was going on backstage, and I began to realize that a lot of these guys were flat broke. Here they are up on stage, and they're famous and everything else, and they're flat broke.
Yes, that's right.
And I'm going, what's going on here? And I found out later on that, one, they were tied into these nasty contracts where basically everybody gets paid, and they're the last ones to get paid. And 2, they're stuck in that contract for at least 7 years, if not longer.
Wow, 7 years. It doesn't
so
seem like hardly any time nowadays.
7 years, and that 7 years is basically slave labor because you're not
Yeah.
getting paid. It's like, what's going on here? Things like recoupables, they didn't understand what recoupables were at that time because it was buried in the language of the contract.
You mean like royalties and things like that?
Well, no, things like, for example, you get a record contract. Well, that's great. Okay, here's, $20,000, go and record your album. They
Right.
don't explain to you that $20,000 has to be paid back with interest as soon as the album is released.
Yeah, that's right.
And if the album is released, the record company also has the right of refusal, so they can shelve that record and say, well, that record wasn't really that good. You got to do another one for us.
That sounds like a horrible system.
It's a very horrible system, and that's the reason why Prince, for quite a while, had slave written on his face. When he went and
That contract was for 25 years.
yeah, it was terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
So things like that are what I was seeing, and I was thinking, man, people got to get educated. This is wrong.
Yes.
And that's why when SongNet came up and we started sharing music back and forth, we got to meet some of the people from the industry. I knew some people already, but we got to meet other people that were involved with record labels and things. And they explained to us why the contracts were written the way they were and how it was simple enough to fix it, but nobody bothered to read it enough to say, hey, this is wrong, and change it. Successful artists were changing it. They were fixing things. But the contracts remained written the same way because they could get away with it. With the stupid people that just, I'll sign this,
Right, exactly.
And that was a real, real big problem. I was also involved with another record company at one point in time. We had a lot of dance music going on. And I got to see how really rough that was, too. It was just really bad. This was in the very early stages of sampling in hip-hop.
Oh, wow.
So there's this one artist that we had who was... gaining some traction because he had a big hit. And it turned out that this guy, almost his entire CD album at that time, was all samples. None of it cleared, none of it was licensed.
No. Is that before that became an issue or as it became an issue?
As it became an issue.
Oh.
And this guy was a little bit of a loose cannon as well. He was always in a Mexican jail. We had to keep bailing him out. It's like,
oh, wow.
It's one of those irresponsible kids.
Yeah.
So we tried to figure out, well, how are we going to get rid of this guy? And so we started calling major record labels and said, hey, we've got this guy, he's got a hit on the radio, how'd you buy his contract? Okay, so we created an album label, a sub-label of the album label that we had, and we sold his contract with 3 other really horrible artists to this major record label.
Wow.
And the major record label didn't know that his CD was all samples that were not cleared. So sure enough, we got a lot of money, and then they got stuck with having to pay millions of dollars. They actually lost money on this guy, even though he had a double platinum record.
Exactly. Yeah, the irony of that, right? So who's getting that money is the question.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I started realizing, man, this industry is so screwed up. We got to straighten things out.
It's representative of society.
That's very true. So we started. I started looking at how people could get around these things and educating people, and that's why SongNet became what it is, to make sure that people are educated, make sure that people can meet and greet people that can make a difference. Music attorneys, which are different from like divorce attorneys and stuff, because music attorneys have to know very specifically what's going on there.
Yes.
Producers, promoters, all these people, publicists, different kinds of people that would help any artist somewhere along the line, even if they've already been doing these kinds of things, even if they're producers themselves. Like I produced a lot of records, but hey, I'll be happy to sit down and learn from another producer, no matter if they're at a level below where I'm at or a level above where I'm at, because everybody has something to learn. There's an old saying that when you stop learning, you're dead, and I think that's really true.
That's absolutely true, and I can tell you something Jerry Lee Lewis personally said to me, in that he said, never have too big of a head. Now, this is a paraphrase, but this is the gist of what he actually said to me. Never get your head too big, thinking you're too big, because you never know when you go around the next corner, you're going to see somebody who's better than you. And I never forgot about that. I mean, sometimes those people who've been around the block can share from their lives, and you really learn a lot from a very simple idea. And that really opened my mind, humbled me a lot. So, and that's, one of the guys that created rock and roll, saying, hey, there's people out there who are better than me.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's also that other paraphrase that says, be careful whose butt you kick this week, because next week you may be kissing it.
Yeah, that's right. And Bill Gates actually said something about always be nice to nerds, because you never know, you might be working for one.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah. So SongNet, let's wrap this up a little bit. Let's get, I want to talk about SongNet a little bit, and then you can give us some idea of how we can get a hold of you and find out about SongNet. Sure. Basically, SongNet is what?
Well, SongNet is an organization that connects the industry and the community. We've been doing it now for over 17 years, and we have seminars and workshops first Wednesday every month up at the Urban Homestead in Pasadena, and then we have a showcase also at the Urban Homestead where people can get together and try out their new material, learn a little bit more about things, get some really positive feedback about their performances and about their songs and their songwriting. So that's kind of what we do.
And you do it twice a month, so one time you have an industry professional come in, and another time you have...
First Wednesdays are always a workshop seminar with an industry professional. Third Wednesdays are always a showcase.
And that means that you, if you live in the LA area or if you're visiting or whatever, you can actually participate. Come down to the Urban Homestead, and I know there's a Facebook page if you want to look for it, every first and third Wednesday nights, and we'll be there. I'll usually be rocking, and because I add a little different sound to the, something in addition.
We get all kinds of stuff going on there, and the website is www.thesongnet.org because we are the Songnet.
Yes,
yes, thesongnet.org because music should be orgasmic, and it's a really good thing. So hopefully we can make that happen for everybody here. And also, real quick, we do have that thing at Kulak's Woodshed that we do.
That's right.
The two for nights, which is a very good thing. I was just talking to some people here about that, where people can record a 6-camera HD shoot, which is a pretty amazing thing. On our nights, it's 2 songs for $30, and on Monday nights, it's 1 song for $20. But you can also use a house band on Mondays, so it's an incredible thing. It's Kulak's Woodshed, Kulaks Woodshed.com. And again, it's something that's posted on our website and something you can always get a hold of me if you want. I'm JimiYamagishi.com, of course, and you can hit me Jimi, Jimi, at JimiYamagishi.com. If you want to find me there or find me on Facebook, I'm around.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jimmy.
Sure.
And that's actually, Kulak's is in my old hood, really literally 2 walking blocks away from where I lived for about a decade. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
And this is Niswander. You are watching the Nowman Show. We are live on Facebook. Stick around for 2 more shows.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Rock.
Hello, this is Niswander, and I am here in Lynwood, California at the worker cooperative coffee shop, which is called Collective Avenue Coffee. And you can see what it looks like in here. They're the worker owners.
I think you had a lavender. You had a lavender latte with oat milk.
Lavender latte with oat milk. Get to be a participant and support a worker cooperative. Here are the 2 worker owners.
My name is Robles.
I'm Kateri.
Yes.
We're LA's first worker-owned coffee shop.
And you're located in a community center in Lynwood right now. The address is what?
11832 Atlantic Avenue.
And you have a Last Friday's event. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So it's like our monthly event that we host. So we get local artists, like musicians, nonprofits now, just different things in general. We try to give them a space to really be creative, showcase themselves, and really kind of opportunity to really grow the community within Lynwood. But I think we've gone past week to help people over Southeast LA in general.
Mm-hmm. It's about creating a space for the community.
Yeah,
so.
just help them out grow, so in general, we're all about helping each other grow as much as we can.
Helping each other out. Now, what's not to like about that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you need to see more and more of that in action. So again, repeat the address.
11832 Atlantic Avenue. We're right in the middle of the park. So if you see a big community center, we're right outside.
Look for the coffee flag too.
Yeah.
Coffee flag.
Yeah, there's a big coffee flag there too.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
See you
Take
around.
care.